Are we on a quorum call?
We are.
I asked to officiate the quorum call.
Without objection.
Mr. President, I rise today to warn against our administration's unrelenting campaign to weaken our energy security, our national security, and our economic security to advance truly their environmental and social agenda. The ESG rule that we're going to vote on later today is just another example of how our administration prioritizes a liberal policy agenda over protecting and growing the retirement accounts of 150 million Americans that will be in jeopardy. Our country is already facing economic uncertainty, record inflation, and increasing energy costs that keep Americans up at night and put a squeeze on their pocketbooks. And we all see it no matter where you are, whether it's Georgia or West Virginia, we're feeling the same pain. The Inflation Reduction Act was written with a primary goal in mind, which has not been at all promoted from our administration. The Inflation Reduction Act was intended to be, and it still is, energy security for our nation. If we as a nation are not energy secured, if we have to depend on foreign supply chains, if we're not able to help our allies in need, we will not remain the superpower of the world. And that is what I was concerned about as we worked on the Inflation Reduction Act. We are going to use all of the fossil fuels that we have in America to maintain for the next 10 years energy independence, energy security, and be able to have the supply chain to help our foreign, our allies, which EU. If you want to see the devastating effect of what a war on energy can be, look no further than Ukraine. Look no farther than the EU, what has happened over there. So we've talked about this, and we wrote a piece of legislation that we could walk and chew gum at the same time. We could basically invest and produce more oil, produce more natural gas, basically build pipelines that carries the products much safer than rails and roads, which we're seeing so much of the devastation happening by rails right now, which should be alarming to all of us. But basically to do it and do it in a much safer way. But when people deny, and any denier of any kind, and denying reality of what's needed today is dangerous. That's what's happening right now. We have a significant investment in states like mine already that allow us to produce more energy here at home. And that means onshoring our energy supply chains, create good paying jobs and help our economy, and hopefully start working ourselves out of the debt that we've accumulated. The administration should be our partners in this effort. I always said this: government should be your partner, not your provider, but your partner. It shouldn't make all your decisions, but should have guardrails on to make good, sound decisions. But when they try to basically infiltrate, such as the ESG, the environmental, social guidance that this bill intends to do, if you don't weigh that with the geopolitical risks that are being taken around the world today, that we're involved being the superpower of the world and the defender of freedom and democracy anywhere and everywhere in the world, if we don't acknowledge that and allow just one evaluation, I'll guarantee we'll make very unsound decisions that will be very harmful. And again, I say, look no further than the EU. UK has basically thrown all their environmental concerns out the window just to survive. They'll burn anything they can get their hands on to keep from freezing, trying to keep their economy going. That's the geopolitical risk when things are topsy-turvy or unraveled. And that's what we're facing. Instead of the administration basically continue to take care of every opportunity we have to be energy secured, they're investing and twisting the legislative text with cherry-picking the pieces that they want to advance. And I've been very, very critical, because I've been watching it very carefully, of what's going on. And we talk about electric vehicles. Well, the reason that the Inflation Reduction Act said, well, if we're going to give $7,500 to advance people buying electric vehicles, then we should get something as a country out of it. That means being totally self-sufficient. We should not have to depend on Russia for 80% of the supply of the batteries that run electric vehicles, when we've never in the history of the United States of America relied on any foreign entity or supply chains for us to basically take care of our transportation needs, whether it be automobiles, whether it be trains, planes, whatever. Now, all of a sudden, we want to switch to electric vehicles, knowing that we don't supply the main ingredients of running an electric vehicle, which is a battery. Makes no sense at all. So what we said is basically, you will get a credit of $3,750 if you secure the critical minerals it takes to produce that battery in North America or countries that have a free trade agreement with America. so we can have a dependable, reliable supply chain that wouldn't be choked off by countries such as China, Russia, whether it be Iran, North Korea, those who don't have any relationship to our values whatsoever and do not wish us well, as I would say. But with that, the other $3,750 that equals $7,500 for a battery would be that if the battery is basically manufactured in North America. Now, what's wrong with bringing these types of jobs in manufacturing? If it's going to be our transportation mode, don't you think we ought to have a dependable supply chain? That's all. But no, the Treasury Department has made a decision without even putting the rules and regulations out yet. They just made it on their whim and wishes what they want to do. After we passed a piece of legislation we voted for, they basically say, okay, now we're going to basically allow people to continue to get the $7,500. Well, how can you do that? You have rules and regulations, but that they cherry-picked it. They said, okay, we're going to basically say that if your income is less than 150,000 or less, or 300 total, then you can qualify for $7,500. If the car itself is within $55,000 or less for a car, sedan, and if a truck is less than $80,000, let me even give you how much egregious this is, even more than that. They have picked basically certain luxury vehicles called SUVs that are not trucks, but they want to classify them as trucks so they can qualify for $7,500 up to $80,000. That's the kind of crap that we're putting up with right now that was not intended. It was never intended in that bill. It was not written in that bill, but that's how it's being interpreted. So this is the thing that gets me upset, because I know exactly what was in the bill, because we had an awful lot of input in that bill to do the right thing for our country. It was energy security, supply chains here in America, and we could count on. It's just crazy. It's against the law. It's everything that we chose to do and everything we voted for. The climate goal, I'm as concerned as anybody about the climate. Every American, everybody that loves the opportunities in life we have and the quality of life should be concerned, but also be a realist. We are not going to be able to be fossil-free for quite some time, but we can sure use our fossil industry in a much cleaner, and we've done that with the IRA. We're able to basically have carbon capture sequestration that'll take us to another whole venue that we've never seen before. We have methane capturing, which has been harmful from the emission of natural gas. We're capturing all of that now. We're doing everything. But that's not good enough for some people on the far left. Oh, they want to go even further. Just shut it down. Stop it. And I've said you cannot eliminate your way to a cleaner environment. You can innovate your way to it. And that's what America is doing. With the IRA, we're bringing more investments from around the world than ever before. It's a transformational bill if the administration will just do the rules and regulation and administer the intent of the bill. Energy security. That is the only purpose that we have. And we can do that and be able to mature the new technologies that makes us even much better with our climate. But you can't eliminate something before you have something that will replace it that the American people depend on every day. And if they're worried about what's happening, I can assure you, I'm worried too. China's using more and doubling down on fossil. India's using more and doubling down on fossil. So if you think they're going to take our lead because we put strangleholds in our economy and our people and make it difficult for us to survive in this very, very challenging times, I'm sorry, that's just not happening. It's not what I see the rest of the world doing right now. We can lead them with the innovation technology that we're creating right here in America. But leadership takes leadership. You have to be a leader to have leadership. In America, we have the opportunity. The Inflation Reduction Act gives us a chance to continue to be the leader and the hope of the world. Thank you, Mr. President, and I yield the floor. Sorry.